Hey babes, and welcome to Gore and Gossip. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Nicole, and this is your weekly deep dive into all things terrifying, true crime cases, cold blooded killers, and the occasional creepy conspiracy.
Plus, haunted dolls, cursed mirrors, and that one time your aunt swore her house was built on a portal to the underworld.
If it's bloody, bizarre, or just plain bone chilling, we're talking about it.
And yes, we're bringing the gossip too, because what's a murder without a little side eye?
So lock the doors, light a candle,
and let's get into it. Guys, we're
Hi,
back.
everyone.
Hi.
Did everybody recover from last week?
I hope so. I
Are
really
we
hope
all
so.
okay? That was scary.
That was insane, but you
Yeah.
covered it so well. And
Thank you.
he is a scary man.
He is very scary. It's like a true life horror story, like horror movie.
Horror movie, totally.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to cover one of my hyperfixations as a little kid. I remember reading about this on Tumblr, so like circa 2000.
I forgot about that. I forgot that this was one of those Tumblr things.
Yes, along with like all of the creepypastas.
Oh yeah.
And I thought it was just so strange. But let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
So there is a mountain in the northern Ural range of Russia where nothing grows tall, where the wind never stops, and where the snow erases evidence faster than humans can understand it. On the eastern slope of that mountain in February of 1959, searchers found a tent. It was partially buried, still standing, and sliced open. Not from the outside, but from the inside. Inside the tent were boots, coats, food, money, cameras, everything 9 experienced hikers would have needed to survive temperatures nearing minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Outside the tent were footprints, bare footprints. They led downhill, away from safety, and into the trees. Every single person inside that tent had fled into the night, and not one of them ever came back. This is the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Okay, also just for like preface, we mean like bare feet, not bare paws. Just want to put that out there.
Bare.
Yes. We mean bare feet.
Not
bare paw.
Yeah, no bear paws.
No.
Involved in this. And these hikers were not amateurs. They weren't reckless thrill seekers or careless students. These were young people, yeah, but they were highly trained, certified, and experienced in extreme winter travel. The group was led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. Igor was an engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. He was known as calm, methodical, and deeply respected by his peers. Friends described him as someone who took responsibility seriously, especially when others depended on him. And the expedition included 8 others. Zenata Gorovaya. I'm going to refer to them by their first names, just an FYI, because
I think it's Gororova.
You're so good. You're so good at this. Kalamo Gororova. I tried. Okay. 22. She was 22 years old, intelligent, resilient, and one of the strongest hikers in the group. Ludmila Dubenia, 20 years old, outspoken, fearless, and known for pushing through pain when others would quit. And Yuri D. I'm just going to go with that because there's 2 Yuris.
Doroshenko.
You're so good. Oh my gosh. 21. Physically powerful, confident, and previously known for chasing a bear out of a campsite. And then we have Yuri K. or Yuri
Ivanashenko.
You're so good. 23. An engineer.
I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but that's as close as I can get to it.
And I would not be close at all. So thank you, Nicole. He was an engineer with a sharp sense of humor. And Rustam S.
Slobodin, yeah.
Yes. 23, serious, athletic, and disciplined. and Alexander Kolevatov. 24, quiet, analytical, and thoughtful. And finally, we have Nikolai Thibault Brignoli.
I think that's right. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's correct.
23, charismatic, well-liked, and strong. And finally, we have Alexander Zolotaryov, 38 years old and a decorated World War II, I almost said World War III, veteran and instructor.
Why do I always forget that it takes place this far back?
It's literally in the 1950s.
I always forget that it's this long ago. I always think it was like the 70s or like something like that. I don't know.
Well, there was an American version of this that happened.
Maybe that's what I'm getting
on the
confused
East Coast.
with.
Yeah.
But I do know about this one. This one I'm like fully aware of. But maybe.
And Alexander was older than the rest, tougher, and more experienced in ways that no one else in the group was. Obviously, seeing war would kind of change you a little bit. And there was a 10th member, Yuri Yudin, and he did not die on that mountain. Due to worsening joint pain and illness, he also had a heart condition. Yuri turned back early in the expedition, and he hugged his friends goodbye, unaware that he would become the only living witness to their final days. And he would later say, I should have gone with them.
Which is wild to me, because I guess that's survivor's guilt that like made him say that. But truly, like, no. You know what I mean? Like, no, like there would have been nothing to be done different. Like he would have lost his life as well. And I totally get that that's definitely just like survivor's guilt talking, but like.
And it probably would have taken the agencies that found them even longer to find them if Yuri was actually with them.
Exactly.
Because he kind of kept track of the days going by. But before the incident, the group was hoping to get grade 3 certification from this hike, which is pretty high. It's one of the highest for the Russian like certification hiking and climbing. At the time, grade 3 was the highest certification available in the Soviet Union and required candidates to traverse 190 miles, which is crazy to me.
That is crazy. That's Igor's too much.
Way too much. I ran 3 miles today and I'm dead, but
ooh, good for you.
Thank you. Igor's group planned a route into the far northern part of the Sverdlovsk Oblast. Oblast. That's what it is. Oblast. Following the upper reaches of the Lozva River. The route was officially reviewed and approved by the City Route Commission on January 8th, 1959, confirming a group of 10 hikers. Their goal was to reach Mount Otorden, located about 10 kilometers north of where the incident would later occur. The route was rated Category 3, and the expedition took place in February, the most dangerous and challenging time to attempt it.
I can see that. I mean, February is dead of winter, if you think about it. So, like, that's definitely going, especially for, like, a country like Russia where they're obviously more northern. They get a lot of cold weather, probably lots and lots of snow. Like, I can imagine that being, like, the roughest time to hike literally anything, period.
I mean, you guys have snow. We don't. So it was 50 degrees today.
I hate you so much. It was so cold here today. Like, ridiculously. Like, we had, like, my clients were, like, coming in today, and they were like, it's, like, 7 degrees outside and, like, a -5 wind chill. And I'm like, hard no. No, thank you. I will run to the car as soon as I leave here. No, thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you. I am very blessed that it is a very mild winter here in Montana. Otherwise, I would be locked away.
How the heck that happened is beyond me.
It's not going to be good in the summer. I think
know.
Everything's going to be on fire.
Summer. Yeah, you're going to have a rough summer.
Anyways, I digress. January 25th, 1959, before sunrise, a train slows into the town of Ivdel. Ivedell isn't a destination, but it's a stopping point. From there, the group crowds into the back of a truck, rattling north to Weishay. Weishay is the last place on the map with lights, heat, and people. Beyond it, there is nothing but forest and mountains. 2 days later, on January 27th, they start walking. By January 28th, the mountain has already claimed one of them. Yuri, sick in pain, unable to keep up, turns back and he hugs the others goodbye. 9 hikers continue forward. 1 walks away, and he will be the only one that survives. From here, diaries and cameras found around their last campsite made it possible to track the group's route up to the day preceding the incident. On January 31st, the group arrived at the edge of a highland area and began to prepare for climbing. In a wooded valley, they cached surplus food and equipment that would be used for the trip back. The next day, the hikers started to move through the pass, and it seems they planned to get over the pass and make camp for the next night on the opposite side. But because of worsening weather conditions, snowstorms, and decreasing visibility, they lost their direction and deviated west towards the top of Kholat Sayakol.
I promise, guys, we will get better at phonetics.
I promise I will try and figure it out.
I promise we'll be putting more phonetics in there.
It's a me problem. It's me not.
It's not
putting
just you.
The phonetics in there.
I promise we'll get better at it. You won't have to listen to our struggle as much.
I think the struggle is really, really great to hear.
I think it's part of our charm. You know what I mean? I think it's part of our charm.
Yeah.
Maybe I will make you guys continue to suffer listening to a struggle saying words.
Why not?
Just for the simple fact of it's fun.
When they realized their mistake, the group decided to set up camp there on the slope of the mountain rather than move nearly a mile downhill to a forested area that would have offered some shelter from the weather. Yuri speculated Igor probably did not want to lose the altitude they had gained, or he decided to practice camping on the mountain slope. Before leaving, oh, sorry, go for it.
No, it's fine. I wasn't really going to say much. I was just going to say, if you knew you were going the wrong way, were you just going to continue up that way? Why wouldn't you have gone back down to correct course? I know it would have backtracked you a little bit, but how much would it have? You know,
those dang men and their need to always be right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I would have turned around as soon as I realized.
Same. I would have been we're going the wrong way. 2, there's a better area down there for us to shelter.
Right. And if there's an
Why don't
avalanche,
we just go there?
You're messed up.
I'm sure at some point they're gonna have to camp on the mountain slope, which makes sense. Why Yuri would say that. But if we're going the wrong way, let's just go to the right shelter, right?
Right. No, you're.
I don't know. Maybe
right.
not.
Who knows? I'm not a mountaineer.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. I was just gonna say, what do I know? I don't do this, so maybe I'm wrong.
Before leaving, Igor had agreed he would send a telegram to their sports club as soon as the group returned to Vizay. So they were expected to be back to the town by February 12th.
Okay.
But Igor, the head person, told Yuri as he was leaving, he's like, we may be taking longer just because of the fact the visibility was getting bad and the storms were rolling in. So he's like,
got it. Understand now.
Don't worry.
I don't know why that didn't click for me at first, but I got it now.
I also said it really weird.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know if it was that. I think I was just not paying enough attention that you saying it just sounded weird to me.
I also think I said it wrong.
Yeah, so it's all good. We got it. I understand now. Even as I'm reading it, I'm not understanding what's happening. Need more info.
So when the 12th passed and no messages had been received, there was no immediate reaction. Delays of a few days were common with such expeditions. On February 12th, though, the travelers' relatives demanded a rescue operation, and the head of the institute sent the first rescue groups consisting of volunteer students and teachers. Later, the army and police would become involved, with planes, helicopters ordered to join the operation.
So that was 8 days in between. So yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah, they say a couple of days. You're going to give them, probably 4. Okay, maybe a little bit longer. But I think I would probably, if I was in their shoes as somebody who's not a mountaineer, I think I would do the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially knowing the conditions.
Yeah, and dead of winter, like you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
Later, the army and oh my god.
Sorry, I threw you off.
No, it's okay. I have it like marked where I am. On February 26th, searchers finally located the group's campsite on the slopes. What they found made no sense. The tent was badly damaged, partially collapsed, and buried in snow. It was empty, though. Inside were boots, coats, food, and personal belongings, all left behind. One of the students who first reached the site later said the tent looked torn apart, as if it's been abandoned in a hurry. Investigators quickly determined the canvas had been cut open from the inside. Outside, 9 sets of footprints led away from the tent. Some were in socks, some were by people only wearing one shoe, others were completely barefoot. The tracks moved downhill away from the shelter toward the forest, nearly a mile to the northeast. After about 500 meters, the footprints disappeared beneath fresh snow. At the edge of the trees, beneath a towering Siberian pine, searchers found the remains of a small fire and the first 2 bodies. Yuri K. and Yuri D. lay nearby, shoeless and dressed only in underwear. The pine branches were broken high above the ground, as if one of the hikers had climbed the tree, possibly trying to spot the tent in the darkness. Between the tree and the campsite, 3 more bodies were found scattered across the slope. Igor, Zanata, and Rostam. Each was positioned as if attempting to return uphill. They were discovered at increasing distances from the tree, so 300, 480, and 630 meters, frozen in place, part away back to safety. So it was like as if each one of them just passed away as they were getting closer to the tent. It took more than 2 months to find the remaining 4 hikers because of the conditions. They were finally discovered on May 4th, buried beneath more than 4 meters of snow in a ravine, about 75 meters deeper into the forest beyond the pine tree. Unlike the others, 3 of the 4 were more fully dressed. Investigators noted clear signs that clothing had been taken from those who died first and repurposed in a final attempt to survive the cold. So Ludmila was wearing Yuri K's burned and torn trousers. Her left foot and lower leg had been wrapped in a ripped jacket, improvised insulation against the freezing temperatures. By the time they were found, though, the snow had sealed them in place, hiding the last chapter of the group's story until spring finally gave them up. A formal inquest began as soon as the first 5 bodies were recovered. Medical examinations found no injuries that could explain their deaths, and all 5 were ruled to have died from hypothermia. Rustam did have a small fracture in his skull, but investigators did not believe it was fatal. That conclusion held until the remaining 4 bodies were found in May, and their injuries changed everything. Nikolai had suffered a massive skull trauma. Ludmila and Alexander, his name was actually Alexander, Simon Alexander, had crushing chest injuries so severe that a forensic expert compared them to the force of that of a car crash.
Jesus Christ.
Yet there were no external wounds to match the broken bones, as if the damage had been caused by immense pressure rather than blows. All 4 bodies were discovered in a creek bed, partially submerged in running water, and each showed severe damage to the face and soft tissue. Ludmilla was missing her tongue, eyes, and parts of her lips and face.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
And one of the Yuri's eyes was gone. And Alexander was missing his eyebrows.
His eyebrows?
Eyebrows were gone.
What do you...
Like, do they just like freeze off?
I'm confused.
Or the water could have just like took them off too.
Oh,
from
I don't
being
know.
frozen
I'm
and then
confused.
unfrozen. Yeah.
Yeah.
His eyebrows were gone.
I would have assumed like fire.
Maybe. Like scorch them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lead investigator concluded these injuries occurred after death, likely due to prolonged exposure in the stream.
So then like eyebrows from stream. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just like the constant like freezing and thawing that probably happens as spring comes. Early suspicion briefly turned toward the local Manzi people, reindeer herders who lived in the area. Several were questioned, but the theory quickly fell apart. Only the hikers' footprints were found, and there were no signs of a struggle. Despite temperatures between -13 and -22 degrees Fahrenheit, many of the hikers were only partially dressed, and some only wore socks, and others only a single shoe. Journalists later reviewing the inquest files reported several key findings. Six hikers died from hypothermia, 3 from fatal injuries, but there was no evidence of anyone else on the mountain. The tent had been cut open from the inside, and the group died 6 to 8 hours after their last meal. And all 9 hikers left the campsite on foot. And there was trace amounts of radiation were found on one of the victims' clothing, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Why? Experts
like, where did that come from?
Like, you don't. I mean, I'm dumb. I don't have a science degree. I'm not a lady in STEM. Why is there random radiation on the top of a mountain?
Yeah. What's in there?
What's inside the mountain?
Yeah, like what's in the snow?
Literally. Experts dismiss the idea of human attack entirely, stating that the fatal injuries could not have been inflicted by another person, and the force required was simply too great for a single person to do. With no suspect and no clear cause, more questions than answers, the investigation was officially closed in May of 1959. So after they found them, they closed the case. The deaths were attributed to a compelling natural force.
Oh?
What does that mean? That's
compelling,
a little too vague.
Natural force. Okay.
That's a little too vague for me.
Yeah.
The case files were sealed and sent to a secret archive. Decades later, new details continued to surface. In 1997, it was revealed that film negatives from one of Yuri's cameras had been kept privately by the lead investigator. His daughter later donated them to the Dyatlov Foundation. And in 2009, the hikers' diaries were finally made public. In February 2019, Russian authorities reopened the case, limiting their focus to 3 possibilities: an avalanche, a slab avalanche, or extreme wind. Murder was officially ruled out, but the mystery itself remained very much alive. So, just so you guys know, an avalanche is when there's a ton of snow coming down a mountain. A slab avalanche is when there's a piece of ice that causes the snow to come rushing down in a direct area.
Which would make sense when you consider the hikers that were buried.
Yeah.
And the fact that those hikers were the ones that had like their like no external, and that they said their insides were like they like had been like hit, like crushed in a car crash. I feel like that would make sense, like an avalanche or even like a slab avalanche would make sense for like those kind of injuries that like you might not see any like external damage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That kind of makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
But the mystery itself remained very much alive. In July of 2020, more than 60 years after the hikers died, Russian prosecutors named an official cause: an avalanche. The deputy heads of the Ural's Federal District Prosecutor's Office announced that a snow slide was responsible for the deaths of the Dyatlov group. Not murder, not weapons, not something unknown, just snow, gravity, and bad timing. Independent computer simulations by Swiss researchers later supported the idea, showing that even a relatively small slab avalanche could have caused the tent damage and injuries found at the scene. For the first time, the group's behavior began to make sense. And according to
it would make so much sense why they would have had to have started to hear and felt probably the rumblings of it, and that would make sense as to why they why the tent was ripped up from open, why they were in variations of clothing, one shoe on, no shoes, no socks. It just makes sense because they were trying to leave something in a hurry. I feel like that just makes the most sense.
Right. I'll tell you one of the theories that I heard later on.
I will tell you, the theories are very convincing.
They're so convincing.
It's very convincing. I can easily be swayed.
I think there was a mockumentary about this way back in the early 2010s.
Yes, I do believe so.
I loved it. I'll figure out the name of it later on. But according to the reconstruction, the snow above the tent would have cracked and groaned before shifting, and sounds any experienced skier would have recognized instantly. The hikers didn't wait to see what would happen. They didn't debate. They acted. They cut their way out of the tent. They evacuated downhill away from the slope, and they reached the forest, built a fire, dug a snow shelter. Everything they did afterward followed survival training to the letter. Ironically, it may have been their experience that sealed their fate. Less seasoned hikers might have stayed put, dug out the tent, and survived the night. But avalanches are the deadliest winter danger in the mountains, and the more you know about them, the more you fear them. And according to one of the lead investigators, the group's expertise didn't save them, it doomed them. And this explanation was echoed an earlier, simpler version of events proposed years before by skeptic Benjamin Radford. He suggested that the group woke up in panic, either because an avalanche had already blocked the tent entrance or because they believed one was imminent. And cutting the tent made sense. A slit could be repaired, being buried alive could not. They fled downhill into the trees, poorly dressed because they'd been sleeping. In the darkness, they split up. One group lit a fire. Others tried to return to the tent once the danger seemed to pass. The cold finished what that night had started, and Radford argued that the 4 hikers found later, buried under meters of snow, were likely caught in a secondary slide or collapsed into the ravine. Their injuries, he said, didn't require anything supernatural, just mass, momentum, and snow. Even Ludmila's missing tongue could be explained by scavenging animals, but not everyone agreed. Critics of the avalanche theory pointed to a long list of problems. There were no clear signs of an avalanche at that site, no debris field, no broken tree line, and the bodies found early were only lightly covered in snow. They would have been buried if an avalanche had happened. If they would have been swept away and buried. Over 100 expeditions returning to that area in the decades that followed, none reported avalanche-prone conditions. Modern terrain analysis suggested the slope was wrong. The angle was too shallow. Even if snow had slid, it should have missed the tent entirely. There's no way that it could have just hit it straight on. The footprints leading away from the campsite told another story. They showed no panic, no running, just steady walking. 9 people moving deliberately into the dark. Because if you were sprinting, you would barely leave a
I
footprint.
was just gonna say that, like, the footprint, and like people can be like, what do you mean? Like, the difference between like a just like steady walking is like it's gonna be a full footprint, right? Like it's going to be the full thing. If you are running, especially like you're in a panic, in a hurry, whatever the case may be, it's not going to look like that. It's not going to be, even if you're barefoot, it's not going to look exactly the same as it would be if you were just walking around. And you can basically test that on your own, like while you're there looking at it, by like you just steadily walking around and kind of comparing.
Right. And Igor and Alexander were experienced mountaineers. The idea that they would have knowingly camped in an avalanche path didn't sit right with many experts. Still, between 2015 and 2019, Russian investigators re examined the original case files at the request of the victims' families. This time, they added what the 1959 investigation never fully considered: the weather. On the night of February 1st, winds would have reached hurricane force. Snow was falling hard, and temperatures plunged to -40. When the original investigators arrived weeks later, the storm was long gone, and with it, any trace of a snowslide. According to the revised reconstruction, the group weakened the snowpack while carving their campsite into the slope. During the night, the snow above them began to shift slowly, pressing against the tent, and the entrance became blocked. Panic set in, they escaped through the fabric and descended nearly a mile to the forest. From there, everything unraveled. 2 died by the fire, underdressed. 3 tried to return to the tent and collapsed along the way. The final 4 attempted to build a more permanent shelter near a stream, fell into a snow-covered ravine, and were crushed beneath the weight of snow and ice. In 2021, a new physics model published in Communications, Earth, and Environment showed how even a delayed low-angle snow slab could cause the injuries seen without destroying that tent outright. But avalanche wasn't the only natural explanation. In 2019, a Russian and Swedish expedition proposed something rarer: a katabatic wind. These are sudden, violent downslope winds that can make it impossible to remain in a tent, where it feels like a hurricane is literally rattling you out of the tent. Investigators suggested the hikers may have buried the tent intentionally and retreated to the trees, leaving a flashlight on top as a beacon to guide them back. And they may have built 2 shelters and 1 collapsed. Another theory blamed sound itself. Infrasound is a low-frequency noise created by wind moving around the mountain and has been linked to panic and disorientation. And according to this idea, the hikers fled the tent in terror, regained clarity lower down the slope, but couldn't find their way back. Then there were the military theories. Some believe the group stumbled into a Soviet parachute mine test, and where weapons would be exploding midair, causing massive internal injuries with little external damage. Witnesses later reported seeing orange lights in the sky, and because radiation was found on clothing, people suggest it may have been an experimental weapon test or even maybe a cover-up. And that's what I believed for a very long time until the case was reopened back in 2019, because I was convinced.
I'm still not fully convinced that it's anything else. Like, I won't even lie. It's just, like, I don't know. Things are weird.
Also, like, it was the 50s. You gotta
And, like,
think about it.
is there only radiation? What I want to know is, why is there only radiation on one set of clothing?
On one person's set of clothing? That's a really good question.
You know
No
what I
clue.
mean?
It
That's
should
why
have
I'm
been
like, there had to have been, like, something in the snow, or like there had to have been something going on.
There had to be something going on.
Because, like, what do you mean there's just random radiation on the top of
a mountain?
Yeah.
Unless there's like a massive base up there with a weapon that no one knows about. But I digress. This was also near the Cold War. Am I crazy? This is in the midst
No,
of
that's
the
what I'm
Cold
saying.
War.
Like, yeah, this is in the midst. Yeah. Yeah. While I do believe the avalanche,
I feel something else
I
is
don't
going
know if I necessarily believe. Yeah, there's something else going on there. I don't know.
Yeah. But none of these theories explain everything. Hypothermia does explain some things, paradoxal undressing, confusion, poor decisions. Yet the fact that some hikers collected clothing from the dead suggests clear thinking, at least for a little while. Even decades later, inconsistencies remain. Conflicting distances, odd behavior by officials, a case shut down literally after a month that they found all of the rest of the hikers, a conclusion that satisfied no one.
Especially because not only did they like shut it down immediately after finding the rest of the hikers, but they put it in a secret like filing.
Archive!
Like that will forever what be is like sus to me about this and like make me think that there's something more than just an avalanche, because like sure you can have like, you know, technology try to explain it now, take into weather conditions, the fact that there was a storm, like sure we could take that all into account, but why was this automatically put into a secret file?
Like, that's so suspicious. That's like,
I'll never understand that.
I'll never understand that either, even with like the Roswell incident that was open and closed super quick.
Yeah.
This was closed literally after the families got to see their family members that were missing for months. And then you close it after a few weeks. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And you lock
didn't even
it
say
and throw away the
anything.
key.
You just like, and you like put it in a secret file. That's what gets me. Why?
Yeah, I don't get it. The USSR was crazy.
Something else. Yeah.
Crazy back then.
Another world.
Another world,
Basically.
literally. But I agree with you. It's just all a little too suspect.
Yeah.
The Dyatlov Pass investigation has been reopened, reanalyzed, and reimagined more than almost any other cold case tragedy. Avalanche, wind, sound, snow, human error, or something else entirely. The mountain, it seems, has never stopped keeping its secrets. As we come to the end of the story, there's a temptation almost to choose an answer: an avalanche, the wind, a freak accident, a tragedy, a tragic chain of mistakes, or a Yeti. Something neat, something final, something that lets us shut the book and tell ourselves the mystery has been solved. But maybe on paper it has. In 2020, Russian authorities declared the Dyatlov Pass incident closed again, this time with an avalanche listed as the official cause. Modern physics models support it, and weather reconstruction support it. Survival logic supports it. But closure on paper doesn't always translate to closure in the gut, because even if the avalanche theory explains how they died, it still struggles to explain how it felt to be there that night. And that's where this story refused to rest. Picture it: 9 young people. They're smart, skilled, and confident. People who had survived brutal winters before, some even wars. People who trusted each other with their lives. They're asleep on the mountain slide, so remote it barely registers on a map. The wind howls, the snow presses down, and the mountain groans. Something wakes them. Maybe it's a crack, maybe it's the tent shifting, maybe it's that deep animal instinct that says you're not safe. And in seconds, they make a decision that seals their fate. They don't grab their boots, they don't grab their coats, and they don't stop to argue. They cut their way out and step into the dark. And that moment matters, because whether the threat was real or perceived, it was convincing enough to make 9 experienced hikers abandon the one thing keeping them alive in minus 40-degree temperatures. And once they left that tent, the mountain doesn't forgive mistakes. The forest offers shelter, but not salvation. The fire offers warmth, but not enough. And the snow offers silence, but no mercy. And what happens next isn't dramatic in the way movies make death dramatic. It's slow, it's confusing, and it's exhausting. Hypothermia doesn't feel like freezing to death, it feels like giving up. It feels like wrong choices suddenly making sense, and it feels like warmth where there is none. People sit down when they shouldn't, and people take off their clothes when they need them most. And people turn back when forward would have killed them faster, but backward kills them all the same. And somewhere in that chaos, the group fractures, not emotionally, not violently, but practically. 2 stay by the fire, 3 try to go back, and 4 move deeper into the woods. Not because they're panicking, but because they're thinking. And that's the quiet horror of this story. So many of their decisions make sense, which is why the mystery never fully goes away. Because if experienced hikers can do everything right and still die this badly, then what does that say about nature? Confidence, survival? The Dyatlov Pass incident unsettles us because it strips away the illusion that skill guarantees safety. And there's no villain here, no killer to lock away, no monster to defeat, just weather, terrain, and timing. And yet people keep coming back. They came back because of the injuries don't look like falls, because the radiation doesn't belong, and because the secrecy that followed, and because that feeling that something was never fully said out loud. And maybe that's because the Soviet system didn't just investigate this tragedy, it buried it. Files were sealed, language was vague, and the conclusion, a compelling natural force, was technically accurate and completely hollow. That phrase doesn't comfort families, and it doesn't honor the dead, and it doesn't explain the fear. It just closes the door. And when doors close without answers, people pry them back open. And that's how we end up with theories about weapons tests, infrasound, secret mines, and glowing orbs in the sky. Not because they're more believable, but because they feel proportional to the damage done. And we want a cause as extreme as the outcome, but sometimes the truth is smaller and quieter and worse. And sometimes the truth isn't nothing extraordinary happened at all, just a group of people who trusted their instincts and were betrayed by them. And maybe that's the hardest ending of them all, because if Dyatlov Pass isn't about conspiracy, if it isn't about monsters or cover-ups, it's just a bad night on a very bad mountain, then it could happen again to anyone, even people who do everything right. And the mountain still stands there today, unchanged, unbothered, and hikers still go through it, and the wind still screams, and the snow still shifts. And the name Dyatlov Pass isn't a warning carved into stone, it's a reminder whispered into the cold. Nature doesn't need intent, and it doesn't need malice, and it doesn't need mystery. Sometimes it's just one moment of fear and a single wrong step into the dark. And that's where this story ends, not with answers, but with silence. So guys, what do you think? Nicole, what do you think happened?
While I agree that there is definitely like an avalanche or something happen, like when you take into consideration like that there was like a storm that weekend and whatever, it's also just really sketchy because again, like you have to think about the fact that like what tells the story of like their footprints and everything, like they didn't seem to leave in a hurry. They didn't like, there was obviously some kind of panic there, but their experience was enough to keep them calm. I'm sure they felt like some kind of like panic talking and like between each other and whatever, but I don't know, it is just kind of sketchy. And like while like the missing like body parts and stuff can be explained by animals, they were also covered under snow for a while. So like when did that happen? You know what I mean? Like I know it happened postmortem. Hello. Well, I know that happened postmortem, like when postmortem is you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I do think that's a little sketchy. I think there's a little something going on there. Especially because they immediately put it into like a secret file. Why would you do that?
Why? If there was more to look at, why did you put it in a secret file?
You literally could have just said like to natural, like the natural occurrence thing. Like, okay, so like say it's to like weather related, whatever you want to call it. If like that's your terminology for it, fine. But why are you putting it in a secret file?
There's no need for it to be in a secret file.
Yeah. I don't know.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look up that mockumentary real quick.
Oh, yeah. I definitely know what you're talking about.
It was so good. Well, they're like stuck in a Devil's Pass.
Yes.
top tier movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is so good and probably one of my favorite thrillers.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's on Netflix and Amazon if you want to take a look.
Oh, is it? Nice.
Yeah. Yes. But I think there's more to it. But that's just me. We're always skeptics here.
Yeah. We love a conspiracy, so.
We do love a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
So, whether it's crime, conspiracy, or just straight up spooky, we're gonna keep talking about it. So like, follow, comment, and stay tuned for new episodes each week because it will just keep getting dark and spooky from here. So stay nosy and stay spooky, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. And if you guys want to send in your own stories, send it to goreandgossippod@gmail.com because we want to hear your stories.
Please, I want to do a full episode of people's stories. So I'm going to
please,
demand
please.
Until it happens.
Yeah. Send them, please.
Please. Thank you.
Right, bye, guys.
Bye, guys.